Hey everybody, ECW fan, the collector here, and I hope you're having a good December, because it's now time for the annual Christmas pickups. Last week you saw my Mile High pickups, which coincided with Christmas, so December continues that roll that we're on. We're going to be doing movies now, and plus we're going to do some toys and some VHS. Now, over the last 3 to 4 months, I picked up some stuff from yard sales before they died out, before the start of October. Pawn shops, Goodwill, Cheap Thrills. And I picked up 2 great box sets from Cheap Thrills in the month of November. Right in the middle of November, right before I finished my holiday shopping. I can't wait to show those 2 off. Man, those 2 were ones I worked out a good deal. I traded some movies in to Sean on, and you'll see them. But first, we're going to start off with some toys from Bargain Bins, which Bargain Bins reopened after like a 3 to 4 month layoff. And I was happy to see it back. And I think they took some time off. And they come back, and they were selling some action figures in there. And I was surprised because, I like some iconic action figures if they're cheap enough. And these were cheap. Like I got Cobra Commander. Retreat! I love Cobra Commander. I thought this was a great old school type back in the day figure. And you can see that this G.I. Joe figures were reissued. They reissued the old classic figures. I never did get into these. Because there was just too much. Back then I was a Transformers and He-Man guy. And I never got into Transformers because probably it would have been too much to get into. And that's the truth. There's so many figures back then, figure lines. I got some Ninja Turtles too, but nothing like He-Man and Transformers. Those were my bags back then. And I wish I would have kept those figures. I mean, I'm kind of envious of Eddie because he kept all his figures. Yeah, I'm envious. Another set of figures I never got into, and this too was a really big one, and I debated getting this one first, but I saw that nobody got this, and like 2 weeks later I went back, and I got Star Wars Chewbacca. Yeah, this is kind of cool. They had 3 of these figures from this line, these big Star Wars figures. They had the Stormtrooper, and they had this figure right here. I have no clue who that is, but I was thinking about it. I wish they had the Emperor, but I went ahead and got Chewbacca because he's a Wookiee from the planet. I like that. I went ahead and got that. I had to get Chewbacca, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get that. I'm gonna have to put this up here because it's gonna slide down because it's too big. But yeah, I picked up some VHS too, and I picked up 3 VHS movies because I like the covers on them. I like the iconic covers, and these were like $1 a piece, except the last 2 were 50 cents. These 2 came from yard sales, and this one came from the Goodwill. This one from the Goodwill is Wonder Woman, which I thought was kind of cool for VHS. I love that Wonder Woman. Linda Carter pose. So I went ahead and got it. I think this adapts the first episode. I like the collector's edition VHS. I said, well, I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to get it. These last 2 came from a yard sale, and this lady was selling a bookshelf, and I was really wanting to get it because I was gonna give my mom one of my small bookshelves and take this big one because I was really wanting it. I was like, man, I could take that big bookshelf and put more stuff, and I was going to put it in my room and fix it. And she's like, if they don't come back and get it, you can have it. But I bought these 2 movies off of her because of the covers. Plus, I was wanting to show her that I was interested about the bookshelf. Well, unfortunately for me, somebody come back and bought it. But I did get these 2 nice VHS for 50 cents a piece. I got Legend, which I love this cover with Tom Cruise and Legend. I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get that. And I checked the tapes. I always check my tapes. And I got Mad Max. So I got 2 iconic 80s. Well, I guess you could say Mad Max was late 70s, I guess. But I got these 2 iconic movies. I've got them on DVD, but I want to go ahead and get these 2 VHS covers cheap. I mean, I've picked up some iconic VHS stuff, and those two are kind of buys to get. Now we're gonna get into the DVDs, the movies. Yeah, that's what you're here for. The movies, and we're gonna see some DVDs now. Okay, we're gonna do comedies first. Then we'll get to the rest of the good stuff. Comedies. There's a few good comedies in this. So one of the first ones I got from Cheap Thrills on the dollar section was the Laugh Out Loud 3-movie collection of Kevin James. And I went ahead and got Grown Ups, Paul Blart, Mel Cop, and I've got The Zookeeper. I've never seen The Zookeeper, but I have seen Mall Cop, and I've seen Grown Ups. Grown Ups is okay. Mall Cop is pretty funny, has a nice ending to it. But I've never seen Zookeeper. And I know that Kevin James has a reputation for being an a-hole. People's talked about when they've met him privately or in places and times he could be like that. I don't know. You really don't know how actors are going to be in their personal lives. That's why if you meet somebody at a con or something, that's where you can meet them at. Because I would hate to run up on them somewhere privately. And because they're just like us. They don't want to be bothered. Because it would be aggravating if you ran into somebody in your private, when they're having their private moments with people. I try to be respectful like that. Anyhow, I got this one off a pawn shop. And this is Jim Carrey and Taylor Leone, Fun with Dick and Jane. And somehow, this happens right when the recession was hitting. And they decided to tailor a movie about this, about a couple that lives in a housing development, and they go through money issues. And I always remember them out there digging up the pit neighbor's yard, pieces of their yard, and putting it in their yard. I always remember that scene. I thought that was pretty ingenious and pretty funny. And Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey. I mean, he was just a funny guy. I still think that was probably the most ingenious thing, go around at night and steal pieces of the neighbor's yard. And I always remember the scene where Taylor Leone looks at him and goes, "We've got a problem, Dick." And he's like, they didn't have no money. We have a problem. Now here's one that's not open. And this one actually came, I think, from the Goodwill. And this one, the sticker had fallen off from the Goodwill. But this one's never been opened. And this one is called Wag the Dog. And this came out in the 1990s. And at the time, now a lot of people's forgotten about this movie. This is a dark comedy. Basically, Robert De Niro works for the president. And he needs there's a controversy that's coming up. And the president needs to bury it. So he decides to make believe a war is going on. So he hires a film director, played by Dustin Hoffman, who is based on Robert Evans. Yeah, Robert Evans. And Evans applauded the film because he thinks that Hoffman nailed his character perfect. And it's a dark comedy because I'm not going to get into it, but about the ending. But it's a very good movie. It's a very good movie. Now, at Cheap Thrills, they had gotten a thing of movies in, and I think I might have filmed it. But what this is, I needed to complete a series, and a series set of movies, and I could have, or a series set of comedy, and I could have actually got the big set a long time ago, but I decided to go ahead and get these single seasons, because all I needed was 2. I got Sanford and Son Season 3, and I got Sanford and Son, Season 3, and then I got Season 6. I picked up the wrong one. Yeah, that's just me. That's just yeah. So I got these 2 season sets of Sanford and Son. It completes my whole series. I've had 4 seasons of Sanford and Son since, God, for years. And I saw that Cheap Thrills had just gotten these in, and the guy priced them just to sell. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to get rid of these, so you don't have to worry about them." He said, so you can get them. So I went ahead and got them from him. Now, a movie I picked up in the dollar section, and this is a really nice one. And as long as we've known this guy, he's always going to be Crocodile Dundee. He's always going to be. I've got all 3 of the Crocodile Dundee films. They're classics. Okay, the third one not so much, but that Wendy's spot, it's it's fun to watch where he goes to the window and orders a Wendy's in that one. But I always like the scene where that's not a knife, this is a knife, and they pull out a freaking thing and the guy's like takes off running, because. But this one basically it was him mocking the whole deal. This was him with John Cleese and Chevy Chase and all them. It plays the very excellent Mr. Dundee, and this one is he basically plays himself, and everybody thinks he's Crocodile Dundee. You got Chevy Chase. It had an all-star cast. You had Wayne Knight, John Cleese, Olivia Newton-John. The late Olivia Newton-John was in this one. This was a nice comedy. And it's nice for its time, Nice for its time. Now, this one came into Cheap Thrills, and I had to get it because I've not seen this movie, this comedy. It's comedy action. I've not seen this one in a long, long time. And I was like, I've got to get this one because it's on my to-get list as a comedy from the late 80s. And it's got Andrew Dice Clay and The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, baby. The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Oh, yeah. I think I got this around September, and I thought this was a nice little pickup. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get that. I've been looking for that one and Brain Smasher. And Brain Smasher, that's a pricey one on Amazon. I don't know what it is, but those are two Andrew Dice Clay comedies I really want to get. And finally, the last comedy I picked up, this is more of a comedy horror film. It's about zombies and everything, and it's got, it's weird, but it's got Ossie Davis and Bruce Campbell. It's Bubba Hotep. Bubba Hotep is basically a guy that thinks he's Elvis. He's an Elvis impersonator who is in an old folks home with a bad hip, and he's fighting zombies and all that stuff. And it's a very weird film. And Bruce Campbell, you can see it on the back here. You can see it there he is. It's a very weird type film, but it's become a cult hit, and people's asked if there's gonna ever be a sequel to this, and I don't think Campbell's gonna do it, but we can hope. I think that would be kind of cool to see a sequel to Bubba Hotep. Okay, we got some more comedy horror, and this one is a 3-pack, and I got this one from the pawn shop, and you can tell this one is not in the best shape. I had to check each disc, make sure each disc was in perfect shape. And this one is pretty wore down. This one is pretty beat up, and I can see why it was like $2 for this 3-pack. And I had to go through each disc and just check them real good. But it is the Scary Movie triple pack. You get 3 movies: Scary Movie 1, 2, and 3, and they're getting ready to do Scary Movie 6 from what I heard. So it's coming back because the Scream just come back, and they've gotten the Wayans brothers to do it, and I thought this was kind of nice set to have, comedy horror wise. So that's a good one. That's the last comedy. So there you go, folks. You made it through the comedy section. If you're more into horror and action, well, we're partly there. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some films that aren't comedy horror, and these are actually 2 nice films I picked up, and it surprised me that I had these since September. I've never really showed them. I actually got these before the monthly movie pickups, but they was just sitting there, so I'm gonna go ahead and show these now. And one of them is No Country for Old Men. No Country for Old Men, a Coen Brothers film. Yeah. I've always heard this was a good film. I heard that Javier Bardem was really cool in this one, and Josh Brolin, man, he's been in a lot of good stuff, man, from 2000s on. I mean, this, and from what I just saw Weapons a couple weeks ago. Weapons was really good. But, yeah. Now, I'm moving on to a Quentin Tarantino film I'm surprised I didn't have. It's Pulp Fiction. And this cover's become iconic. And they actually had Uma Thurman's, they used this cover on a Hulk issue back in the 90s. I've got that issue with She-Hulk. But yeah, this was Pulp Fiction. Had a lot of great stuff in it. Shocked I never did have this one. I've got a lot of Quentin Tarantino films, but this one's one I'm shocked I didn't have. in my collection. So I had to make that right. So now we're gonna get to the Blu-rays, and I've got let's see, 6, 7. I got about 8 Blu-rays here, 8 Blu-ray sets, or 8 Blu-rays there. But I got a big set coming. That's a Blu-ray set, so stay tuned. It's coming. It's a nice horror set, so stay tuned. But here's one I picked up from Cheap Thrills. It is, because I'm collecting these Disney sets of Blu-ray. It's Alice in Wonderland. I'm collecting all the classic animated shows, and if I can find them cheap on Blu-ray, I'm going to get them. But this is Alice in Wonderland on Blu-ray. So that's a nice one. Now, this is one that came out of a... this one actually came from the pawn shop. And I remember picking this one up, and I'm like, I can't believe I found this on Blu-ray. Because I was about ready to order this off Amazon. Because I really want this one, because I love part 1. I don't know if Eddie's watched it yet or not. I know me and Chris was pushing him to watch it. It's Smoking Aces 2. Now, Smoking Aces 2 isn't as good as the first one. But I love the assassins showing up to kill. And Big Lots originally had this one. I forgot what the original price was, but the pawn shop at home here had it for $2.50. So I went ahead and picked it up. Oh, yes. Smoking Aces, baby. Cheap Thrills just put this one out, and I actually want to watch this one because it's got like a classic 80s, 90s, early 90s horror film to it. It's got Kirstie Alley, the late Kirstie Alley, and Alan Bates. It's Salem Witch Trials. And it looked spooky enough. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get that. So that's a nice one. I picked up Cemetery of Terror, Cheap Thrills. I think I got this around October. And I saw this one out there, and I was like, that looks creepy as hell. Man, I thought, that looks really creepy. So I went ahead and picked up Cemetery of Terror. So that's a nice one. Now, this one, I forgot where this one came from. I think this one actually came from Spookables. No, actually, it came from Cheap Thrills. I'm sorry. It came from Cheap Thrills now that I remember it. I got the other one from Spookables, the one before this one. But this was the last Scream film, Scream 6. And I don't know how Scream 7 is going to do, but I know they just released a trailer of it. But two of the actresses, one of them was fired because of political situation, and the other actress just dropped out. I think it was Jenny Ortega dropped out because she didn't want no part of the film after that. She got mad at the studio and just said, you know what, I don't need it. And she didn't, because she's become a big star herself. She calls the shots on her own things now. So she basically said, no, I don't need this film. And it was a blow. And I think the director may have lost his job. I don't know, or he may have walked too. But I think Scream 7's been held back for a while due to changes with everything going on. I got a 3-pack of this. Came with the I remember this one came with gosh, what's the name of it, Smoking Aces. I actually picked this one up at the pawn shop, and it's the triple feature of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Freddy vs. Jason. I have all these films, but I thought, this would be kind of a cool little Blu-ray set to have all 3 of them together. So this is kind of cool. I picked up at Cheap Thrills. I picked up Evil Dead 2, which I was surprised I don't have Evil Dead 2 on DVD. And I was like, well, I don't see it on Blu-ray either, so I better go ahead and pick this one up. I pick up Evil Dead 2. And so I've got all the Evil Dead films, so that's one of the things I wanted to get was that one. And this last pickup I picked up in November, and this one's a set, and this actually puts all these films together for me instead of me having them on DVD and one on Blu-ray. It's the 5-film collection of Final Destination. I just got to get the 6th film that just come out, Bloodline. But, yeah. This is a nice little Blu-ray set of Final Destination, and I'm getting all the horror franchises on Blu-ray. That's my goal, is to get all the big horror franchises on Blu-ray sets. So this is a nice little deal here. So next week you'll see part 2 of the Christmas haul movies wise. So stay tuned till next week. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas, and let's all have a good Christmas together. And I'll see y'all next week.